Just for clarification, I want to let everybody know that I have not beaten this level yet, but I am going to just be kind of showing that, and that's kind of the point of this video, is just kind of how to show to beat it, and also for me to use as reference if I forget a part somehow. So let's go. So there isn't much to say about this first section. It's pretty simple. There are a couple like weird timings. Mainly just the red orb there and that blue orb are just about the only timings. You just want to make sure that you've already hit the portal by the time you've reached the red orb, and you want to hit the blue orb kind of right in the middle. Next thing to note really is this green, yellow, and green orb. You want to hit the first green orb just a little bit late, and then you can rapidly hit the other two, and I find that that's the most consistent way to do that. This first ship section will always be just a little bit annoying to me, but the main thing you just gotta note is that the orb timings are kind of specific. Hit this first red orb kind of right in the middle, make sure you're sliding on the platform for the yellow, and then let go pretty quick. Then you want to hold on the yellow portal and release immediately on the blue. Click the yellow orb in the middle or else you'll hit the spikes too early. And for the green orbs, you want to hit them both kind of in the middle and make sure that you release a little late on the first one. There's not really much to speak about here. Just make sure you hit this last blue orb a little bit late and don't hit the second one. For some reason, it's one of the only fakes in the level. This section is pretty simple. All you gotta do to start is to wait about the middle of the green and then hit the yellow one pretty quickly after, and then buffer click the two blue orbs. The next thing you want to do is make sure to hit the black orb a little bit late, if not right in the middle. This next jump you could just hold, but then you want to hit the first black orb immediately, but the second one very late. This black orb is honestly one of the most challenging timings in the level. It's easy to get consistent with it, but it's also easy to mess up and just kind of get annoyed by it. So yeah, just keep out for it. The next thing is to hit these two green orbs really quickly and then kind of wait a second on the dash. The transition of the wave isn't my favorite, but it is easy to get kind of consistent at it and just to understand it. But honestly, it's difficult to really give tips on the wave. You kind of just have to play it and memorize where to go. It's like not really that skill based, it's way more memory based, and the click pattern becomes actually remarkably consistent. Although it might take a while for some people, I'm kind of shit at the wave, so for me it took a little while, but when I got it, I can get it almost every attempt now. The hardest part about the wave, in my opinion, is probably the final movement where you have to release before hitting the dash orb, because for some reason I released way too late and ended up dying to the wall ahead. But for the dash orb also, I think it's confusing because you have to hit it like right in the middle for it to actually work. This section is very easy, just a very easy micro click on the robot. You just have to click as soon as the thing starts going up. The blue orb timing on the ball part can actually be kind of annoying, but it is not that bad because you'll usually just kind of get consistent with it. And then the second movement to go up into the UFO portal isn't that bad either. It's just one of those things that you learn and get consistent with, I feel. The hardest part is definitely the UFO, in which you have to hold the dash orb the entire time. After clicking instantly going into the portal, if you don't hold onto the dash orb the whole time, you just die. You literally just get killed for no reason. And for the red orb, you can either click too early, making you hit the top platform, and you fall too fast and die, or you'll hit it too low and you'll slam into the saw blade and you'll die, or and this is the worst one, and strangely enough the most common one, there is a bug that if you click the red orb too early and you don't hit the ceiling, then the spider section ahead will actually get affected, and somehow the platform you're supposed to land on will be raised up, making for you to immediately hit spikes. And I don't know why it happens, but it's really annoying. There isn't much to say here. The spider section is very straightforward. The transition into the cube can be kind of weird because if you hit too early, you won't go all the way up. So make sure to hit it kind of once you know your cube. As for this dash orb up ahead, you want to hit this immediately. You want to buffer click it as soon as you possibly can. And then there's a blue orb up ahead. You want to make sure that you are hitting that a little late. For the stool, all you gotta do is hit the first green orb a bit late so that you swing down long enough to make it past the spikes. And from that point on, for the actual duel, it's actually only just the 2 clicks. You just have to hit the 2 green orbs, and you want to make sure you're hitting them directly in the middle. There's not much room for error, because you'll just die. This part is entirely sync. You will not die on the pre-wave. For the actual wave, it's weird for me because either you make it or you just kind of don't. For me, the most annoying part is hitting the first purple and the first green dash orb. The purple dash orb you can kind of predict if you're hitting it in the middle. The green one, less so. Even looking at it on like the editor is kind of weird. It's just luck based for the most part, in my opinion. This part is not hard, although I will say the ship part is probably the single hardest ship part in the entire level, including the straight fly afterwards, just because it's kind of awkward to maneuver yourself, and especially the transition of the cube where you have to instantly hit the black orb. There's also a timed black orb that comes directly after the cube entry. You kind of have to hit it just a little bit late, but not too much. It's kind of one of those things you just get consistent at, as seems to be a theme in this level. This cube is arguably one of the most intimidating parts of the level, because it might come across as a spam section at first, but then it kind of reveals itself to be a timing-based section. It's just important to kind of sync yourself with the music, and I think just don't spam, because if you hit it directly with the notes of the music, it will work out almost every time. I will say there is a skip that I do recommend doing going into the ship where you can skip the final 2 orbs. Just make sure to kind of hit the final pink one a bit late so you get enough distance. Moving on, these are just some basic robot timings, mainly just a bunch of micro clicking and late orbs and stuff. This is one of the most important parts of the level, in which you have to kind of time a lot of these orbs in order to get the perfect setup for the curved ship. You want to make sure you're hitting the black orb basically perfectly in the middle both times, if you possibly can, because you know, just a little bit earlier and a little bit later and you will crash. So I feel like more than anything, it's just about setup, not really even about hitting the final one. It's just getting yourself in the right position to hit the final one. Alright, this is that point of the video. So this is by far the worst part in the level. And the reason why Firepower is playing is because I'm going to spend probably the majority of this video's runtime just grilling the next like 10 to 15% of this level because of how absolutely shit I think that it is. If this level ever gets an update, I really want for Jenkins to fix this goddamn part, just the entire thing. It is so bad. And it just doesn't work well. It doesn't work that good as difficulty. It's just loose clumps of really poorly designed, mainly orb gameplay, and it is really fucking annoying to practice because it is so inconsistent. The transition here is absolutely dreadful. The first thing you have to do is click the first 2 blue orbs as quickly as you possibly can. Well, pretty quickly anyways, because you want to be able to hit the gravity portal below at such an angle to where you will fly past the next 2 blue orbs and you can then hit the later blue and green orb. That allows you to not only skip a couple of clicks, but it also just makes the entire section a lot more pleasant and consistent to play. Next up, you have the best part of the worst part of the level being this duel. I feel like it is the most actually skill-based, and you can definitely get a hold of it if you're practicing it enough. although it can still have these weird things. The main thing to do is make sure you're not jumping too early on the bottom there, going into the ship portals. And for the ship, you want to click just one time. It took me a really long time to figure it out, but you want to click just one time. You have to hit the pink orb a bit late so that the ball above won't hit the spike. And then you want to jump late and then click right when the ball reaches the thing, and then you'll be okay. The wave onwards is pretty fun, and like you can get consistent on it versus most of the other stuff in this part. Now on to the worst part of this level. It's so bad. Alright, so to start the worst part about this level, you want to click just the red orb that's in the thing a little bit late, and then you want to hit the blue and green orbs and the dash orb, of course. Then that leads you into this 4 orb spam, and it is the worst part about this level, because you need to hit them directly in the middle, or else you will die. The thing is, you are 4 times speed minicube, meaning you have virtually no control over when you're actually going to hit that because they're so close together and you're just going so fast. Then forward from that, you have that black orb, which you need to perform the smallest possible micro click in order to actually survive. Because while there are J blocks below it, they do not function correctly, and if you hold for even a slight millisecond too late, you will go into the ceiling and die instantly. It's that bad. Just making a solution like putting a portal with a normal gravity thing would be perfect, and it would fix the entire problem, in my opinion. It would make everything slightly easier, but it would also make the entire level way more fun. With the worst part out of the way, all you have to do is kind of do some good timing. Starting off with this 4 orb spam, it's not actually that spammy. All you have to do is kind of hit the first orb instantly, and then you have to wait a while until you're around middle to late on the second green orb, and then you can start spamming. For the black orb, obviously make sure you hold until you go down to the lower platform and click as quick as you possibly can in order to get back up before hitting the spike. From that point, the robot is not that bad. All you have to do is do some practice runs to make sure that you get the timings down, and you'll make it 90% of the time, I would argue. The main thing is the red orb, and you just want to make sure that you are hitting that very late. As for when you land, you want to click as soon as you touch the ground, and you will be okay. All there is to do here are some fairly simple but quite stressful timings, but then the wave part is a little bit tight, and you will definitely want to practice this, but I found that if you hold down on the blue portal, you won't actually change gravity, and if you don't do anything, obviously, then you won't have to worry about any extra clicks. The ball part is just, again, making sure your timing is perfect. Especially on this last blue orb, it is so easy to overshoot it because of the gravity change. And then the ship, very stressful final ship, but you can do it with enough practice, and just make sure that you hit the last orbs on time. There's a bit of room for error, but with the last black orb, that shit is no joke. So make sure to hit it right on time, and that is the end of the level. Although I haven't beaten it yet, I do think that my opinions on this level are pretty valid, considering I've put in quite a good amount of effort into the kind of this level. And one thing I do want to emphasize, despite, a lot of this video's runtime being me just kind of hating on that specific part, I do genuinely enjoy this level. And I think that's one of the reasons why I dislike that section of the level just so much, is because compared to all of the other very quality gameplay and really good decoration, everything is kind of coming together perfectly, there is just that one part that really stands out like a sore thumb, and literally just because of that, it makes me want to make my enjoyment level down by 2 whole notches or something, just because it isn't designed well and it just feels kind of lazy, in my opinion. I think if there were fixes, like maybe widening the like spam gap, that would be great, because especially on that last yellow orb, if you hit it too early, you'll hit the spike, and that's bullshit, because it should be a spam section. And if you were to implement something to prevent the black orb from not actually preventing you from jumping straight to death immediately, then that would improve the level completely. You would gain like basically full enjoyment out of me. This level is really fun. It's just there is like a couple of like little bugs like that are really hurting the level. And if Jenkins does hear about this somehow, then please, I will even like accept if you fix any of like the skips that I mentioned in the video. Just as long as you fix that would be so nice. I know this is kind of like a weird one compared to what I've been uploading. A lot of, you know, kind of layout content and a lot of just generally level completion stuff, but I figured I would do something interesting and just, you know, highlight the things in this level that I think are important to know if anybody wants to attempt to do this. And again, this is also for me to kind of revisit and just like ponder on like how maybe I can improve my consistency, or just kind of see where I was in a more clear state of mind or whatever. So I think this is definitely a helpful tool if you're looking to understand this level, and it will give you some really good skips to use if you don't want to hit everything, or you just feel like it's ridiculous, because sometimes I feel like it's ridiculous. This level has an insanely high clicks per second rate sometimes, but I digress. Thank you for watching the rest of this video. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next one.